Welcome back to Winners and Losers, the show that looks at the highs and the lows from the Premier League this weekend. Arsenal versus Aston Villa is at half-time on the TV behind me. Villa are winning 1-0. This could be an Arsenal meltdown, but more importantly today, I am joined by Christopher Hamill. Hamster, how's your weekend?
Oh, stunning, mate. Celtic 4, Motherwell 1. The green and white remontada begins, although Rangers did win 8-0, so sad times. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, we're still under lockdown, aren't we? Man United at least got a result, so we will be talking about that in just a bit. But we're going to start by talking about the talking point. It was Liverpool versus Manchester City, and it was suggested by Mahmood, Hamster.
Yeah, City missed a huge opportunity, didn't they, to beat Liverpool at the Etihad, as Kevin De Bruyne missed a crucial penalty with the scores locked at 1-1. Now, City actually started this match in the bottom half of the Premier League. The first time they've been in this position under Pep Guardiola. So very strange territory for him. But with a win, they could have jumped to 6th place, such is the topsy-turvy nature of the Premier League this season. They would have also had a game in hand. But they started poorly, didn't they, Joe? With Kyle Walker giving away a soft, silly penalty, prompting Roy Keane to say this.
How does Mane earn himself a penalty?
Because he's up against an idiot. Kyle Walker, people tell me he's playing well. I don't think so. I think this guy's 30 years of age, international player. He's a car crash, keeps making these types of mistakes and rightly punished for it.
Eloquence as ever, Roy. Yep, City found some stability after the goal, though, didn't they? And Gabriel Jesus scored his second in as many starts after amazing turn on Trent. At first, it looked a little bit fortuitous. You slow it down. You see the Joga Bonita in him. He means it. Wonderful piece of skill. But the build-up was sensational too, wasn't it? A great team goal. It was the most number of passes, 19, in the build-up to a Premier League goal against Liverpool since September 2017. Their passes per defensive action, which is how many passes a team allows before they pounce, before they win the ball back, is normally pretty high. But City managed to keep it away from them in this game. Then came the handball by Joe Gomez. Very quickly, Joe, because I'm going to be editing this late into the night. What do you think? Was it a penalty or not?
I think it was a penalty. Obviously, nobody likes the new rules, but by the new rules, it is a nailed-on penalty. He's got 10 foot to react. I know it has smacked him a little bit hard, but if the rules are going to be this way, players and defenders have to start changing their body position. I know it's totally unnatural not to run with your arm like that, but it's going to have to change, or the rule's going to change. Which one's going to break first? Probably the rule, in my opinion.
Yeah, out of the games today, I actually thought Wolves were more unfortunate to concede a penalty. That arm movement was a little bit more natural. Whereas Joe Gomez, a little bit rigid for this one. Looked a little bit guilty, as it was called. It is a penalty for me as well. But, unbelievably, KDB tracks the penalty wide, becoming the first player, get this, to miss the target in the Premier League from a spot kick since Mahrez at Anfield.
And that cost them the title, mate.
Long time. Yeah, that was pretty high stakes as well. So maybe a bad omen. KDB, though, struggled throughout. Really odd to see him sort of huff and puff in this game with no sort of end product, particularly in that second half. In fact, only 5 passes completed in the second half. 0 take-ons, 0 crosses, 0 chances created, which is absolutely stunning because he's at about 3.5 a game at the moment, isn't he? And 0 shots on target. After the game, though, it was Gabriel Jesus that spoke to the press, and he was absolutely gutted, wasn't he?
They can beat us, and we can beat them, but it's a football, you know. We have a chance to win the game. We don't score when we have a chance, and we draw. Now it's time to rest, go to national team. The guys are coming, so it's no good. The result for us, we know that, but it's a tough game.
As for Liverpool, they missed out on the chance to return to the summit of the Premier League, now sitting third, joint on points with Tottenham Hotspur, who just about scraped past West Bromwich Albion with a very late Harry Kane winner. Now, when they go 1-0 up, historically under Jurgen Klopp, they've been almost impossible to beat, impossible to overthrow. They're on a run of 35 consecutive games where they've gone 1-0 up and gone on to win the match. But recently, that has changed and started to change a little bit. It's now 4 times in the last 7 where they've gone 1-0 up and haven't won the game. So that's something that Jurgen Klopp is obviously going to be very keen to fix. Despite that, though, I just about think he'll be the happier of the two teams with that point, given it is their first point away from home at the Etihad since March 2017. Not good at the Etihad. They lined
all
up.
those players out as well. Deserve a lot of credit.
And all the players out.
Thiago, Fabinho, Van Dijk.
Yeah, and they lined up with that front four as well, which was quite interesting, quite attacking. This sort of 4-2-4, come 4-4-2, went out of possession. I don't know whether I overall like Firmino at that attacking mid position behind Jota, but nevertheless, I thought in that first 45 minutes, he actually picked up some lovely areas in behind Rodri, and Rodri was really struggling to get to grips with him. Mo Salah does what he does all the time. What a player, a goal-scoring machine. He's got 146 goals and assists in 165 games for Liverpool, which is just staggering. The second 45 was a little bit back to the wall stuff. I thought City were the better team in the second 45, but they didn't create much. For all of their possession, they only had 2 shots on target across the 90 minutes. So congrats to, Matip, I thought had a really good game. Joe Gomez. One big negative though, obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold taken off before the final whistle with what looked to be a fairly serious calf injury. Yeah. He's already withdrawn from the England squad as well, so that doesn't look too good. But overall, Jurgen Klopp seemed to just love the entertainment of the game.
Great. Super football game, to be honest. From all points of view, actually. 2 top teams ready for a massive fight. The energy level of both teams tonight was incredible. In that moment in time, it's really, you could see after 10 minutes, after 15 minutes, everybody was breathing like, was really, really tough for all the 22 on the pitch, and but then pulling out such a performance, I'm really happy. That's a game with the lowest number of chances City ever had against us when we played them. Even when we won the games, they had more. We always had to. We needed luck in situations tonight, not that much. Yes, with the penalty they got, but apart from that, the game I liked a lot.
Right, before we get into our winners section then, which was hotly contested this week, if you're not a member of Team FD, hit that subscribe button right now and turn notifications on. Let's get into it, Joseph. C2 Roy's suggestion of Manchester United, more specifically Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as our first winner, and it could have been one of many teams, but we've gone for the Red Devils.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This probably should have been Southampton. But I'll push them to one side. Congratulations, Saints fans, as it is, because we have to talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He was the big talking point on Sunday Vibes. If you haven't watched that yet, go and watch it now, as to whether or not this game would define his job at Manchester United. But he came out fighting a big 3-1 victory away from home. United starting the weekend in 15th position. Obviously did have 2 games in hand, only jumped as high as 13th, so still not spectacular, but do have an amazing record against Everton. They've beaten Everton more times than any Premier League side has beaten another Premier League side in history. Just incredibly good against Everton and pretty good away from home. 7 Premier League away wins on the bounce now for Manchester United, but nevertheless started the game in terrible fashion. An awful bit of defending by Lindelof, getting caught out by Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Then Wan-Bissaka's too far off. Bernard, I think he scored his first goal in like 14 Premier League appearances, and that was back in February because he never plays a minute. Was quite a nice finish. And United could easily have collapsed from there. But they didn't. They showed some character. And the man of the moment, the man of Manchester United, Bruno Fernandes, pretty much dragged them back into the game. Some people, midweek and last week, some idiots were calling for him to be dropped in the Football Daily WhatsApp group. I could not believe what I was reading, because he's now got 30 goal involvements in 32 games for Manchester United from attacking midfield. In fact, if you rewind the clock back to the 17-18 season when he was at Sporting, obviously not such a high level in Liga NOS, but he has 146 goal involvements in his last 170 games from attacking midfield, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Decent. And I can already see people typing now, oh yeah, he's a penalty merchant, he is a penalty merchant. Well, I agree he does love a penalty, but he's been directly involved in 17 non-penalty goals in 21 Premier League appearances now for Manchester United. Since making his Premier League debut, most final third passes in the league, most goals and assists in the league, second most chances created in the league, second most shots in the league. He is just an incredible footballer, and I can't thank him enough for being at Manchester United. But after the game, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came out fighting, didn't he? He was hitting out at the Premier League for some pretty poor fixture scheduling, and they're not the first top side to have this problem amongst playing in Europe this season, and they won't be the last, so fair play to him for it.
How are these boys? How can we defend the product and the quality of the product? You can see first half today. I thought we were excellent. Playing with the ball, zip about us, movement, runs. Then second half, of course, we're tired. You can see Fred and Scott, because they didn't play during the weekend. They were during the week. They were fantastic all day long. But the rest tired. We've lost players through injury. And we've tried, of course, we tried before the game, a month ago or whatever it was, trying to move this game. Why? What sense is there for us playing on a Saturday when you can play us on a Sunday, when there's there's international break after? I cannot say enough how difficult these times are for everyone. Never mind footballers, everyone in the world. Of course, we want to see football. We want to see football with quality, and our boys were set up to fail today with the scheduling. So take a step back, breathe twice, and try to think about the times we're in.
As for Everton, their form has completely reversed, hasn't it? From that unbeaten run at the start of the season where they won 5 on the bounce. They've now lost 3 with no reply against Manchester United, Newcastle and Southampton. That Newcastle result in particular, an absolute stinker. And it's the first time in 14, 15 years that Carlo Ancelotti has lost 3 games on the bounce. Last time that happened, he was at AC Milan.
Wow.
And it's seen them drop from first in the league down to 6th. And this happened despite Carlo ringing in the changes after that terrible Newcastle performance. He made 6 changes to the first 11, bringing in Pickford, Rodriguez, Seamus Coleman, Mason Holgate, Digne and Bernard. Of course, some of those returned after spells out through suspension or injury as well. But despite starting the game in okay fashion, they were pretty much dominated come the end of the 90 minutes. XG had it down at 0.5 to 0.24 in Manchester United's favour. That Bernard shot in goal was Everton's only effort on target in the entire 90 minutes. Worth. And shout out to Harry Maguire as well, by the way. Football Twitter isn't going to sound this out, but I thought he was extremely solid in this game. And Fred. I mean, people know of my love for Fred. The pressing monster that is Fred. Talking of Brazilians, Everton's record without their star man, Richarlison, is absolutely hounding. They are yet to win a Premier League game when he's not been in the starting lineup since he joined in 2018. They're looking significantly blunted without him, aren't they? And after the game, Carlo Ancelotti didn't pull any punches, did he?
It was not a good performance, above all on one aspect, that was defensively. I think that the key point was that after we scored a goal, we were not able to defend properly, above all in our pitch. We were not so compact. We gave them opportunity to score 2 goals easily. We gave them opportunity to play between our lines. We were not so focused in the box. We didn't mark in the box, so it was a collective mistake, but it's quite clear problem, and we have to solve this.
Moving on then to our losers this week, Sheffield United. Now this one was submitted by CFC Steve, so he obviously wants us to talk more about Chelsea than Sheffield United, but we're going to start by talking about the Blades, because they have been torrid at the start of this season, remaining rock bottom of the Premier League after this game, just 1 point from their opening 8 matches. And that return of 1 point from their opening 8 is the worst in Premier League history at this stage of a season. So not particularly good. And they actually took the lead in this game as well. David McGoldrick scoring his 4th ever Premier League goal.
Come on, Golders. He's in my fantasy team. Not through choice. We play draft. Sorry to interrupt, Joe.
3 of which have come against Chelsea. I don't know how that's happened. And, you know, if you want a bit of positivity, Sheffield United fans, he scored as many goals this season as he did in the entirety of last season. But that was only 2. So not a huge amount, to be totally honest with you, because there's a lot of negatives going around here as well. Ramsdale, I want to start with him because he feels like a big step down from Dean Henderson. You know, they've already conceded 14 goals in the league. It took them until match week 15 last season to concede 14, so not looking good for the £18 million signing. It's not helped, of course, by Jack O'Connell. Huge blow for them, that major ACL injury that's going to keep them out for the entire season. But overall, they don't look good, Sheffield United. They look vulnerable. They look a little bit like they've been found out in that way of playing three at the back. I would be worried if I was a Sheffield United fan, and Chris Wilder looked worried after the game, although he was still blaming the officials, not happy with them.
What was the issue with the third goal then? From what we saw, there was potentially a bit of blocking off from Zuma.
Well, there was a block that gets picked up every game because of VAR blocks in penalty areas. Obviously, it was old school that a lot of people were doing in the day, and us included. But obviously, when you get to the level of scrutiny that happens in the Premier League, you'd like to think people will see that obvious block. Because you're not allowed to block now, and there was an incident just before in the corner with Max Lowe. But it's obviously a disappointing result for us. And as I said, the manner of the goals are disappointing. The manner in which we turned the ball over yet again when we had decent possession to world class players. They're gonna, as I talked about last week, they're gonna keep it away from you, or they're gonna be unbelievable on the counter attack and punish you.
As for Chelsea, Joseph, the time has finally come for me to pay Frank Lampard a compliment. All right, I bloody enjoyed the Blues' performance in this game. They were sensational in the final third, weren't they? And their recent upturn in form has seen them climb the table, now 3 points off the summit, with the most goals scored of any single side on 20 goals, that is. And at the start of the campaign, it looked like Lampard didn't know his best 11. He was sort of shoehorning his expensive signings into the final third, and it felt like he was hoping it would work. Now, with the introduction of one Hakim Ziyech, they are absolutely purring, aren't they?
Oh, how buzzing am I to have drafted him, mate? How buzzing am I to have drafted Hakim Ziyech, about fifth or sixth pick as well, because you mugs didn't back him. Go on, Hakim.
Yeah. Really annoying, that is. I think I'll stick with David, though. Keep the faith with Golders. In this game, by the way, Ziyech created 6 chances. That is the most chances created in any 90 in the PL this term. Subsequently, he's been involved in 5 goals now in his last 4 games for the Blues. And when you consider that his fee reportedly cost as much as a year of Ozil and Williams' wages, it's a steal, isn't it? I've not double-checked those figures. This is football Twitter coming to the fore now, but £30 million for a player of that calibre in this market, spiffing work, Marina. And it's not just Ziyech who's finding his best form either, is it? Thiago Silva looks like a revelation at the moment, and one of the best centre-halves in the league. The 36-year-old rolling back the years, defying father time. In this game, 100 successful passes. That's always been his speciality, hasn't it? He's superb distributing from the back. 5 recoveries, 4 aerial duels won, 1 tackle and 1 goal. Now, this form that they've been demonstrating, the individual as well as on a team basis, means they've now scored 14 and conceded 1 in their last 4 games. Unfortunately, for me, it's come together, hasn't it? And my talk of Graham Potter being a far superior manager doesn't look to be the case at the moment, but I'm sticking with that hypothesis, all right? Lots of talk about them being title challengers after the game. Zach, of course, said they're in the hunt for the Premier League on WhatsApp. Frank was buzzing. Ziyech is purring, like I said. And I'm extremely uncomfortable once more. Here's what Lamps had to say after the game.
So those individual performances then. Ziyech, left foot was unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah. But again, as you bring him here, we played against him at the Champions League last year. I knew the player from the year before they'd had in the Champions League. He's a top class player. And sometimes it's great to see that from afar, but when you work with someone, they impress you even more with their personality around the place, with their quality when they get on the pitch. He's been a long time out of football. The Dutch league finished a long time ago, and then he had an injury. So to hit the ground running with the way he has, to be delivering the way he is at the moment is a great sign, and he's been a huge plus for us, and will continue to be.
All right, just before we wrap up then, a quick moments of the weekend, Hamster. You got any suggestions?
Yeah, we had to stick Southampton in the show at some point, didn't we? They temporarily went top of the Premier League. This time last year, they were in the bottom 3. Of course, now still in the top 4, and Che Adams is even coming good. The person I tipped to make an impression last season, it's happening just 12 months late. The 24-year-old now has 5 goal involvements in 8 games. So fair play to the Leicester lad. What about you, Joseph?
I'm going to go for a Eberici Eze, I think, and that free kick in the 4-1 win over Leeds. Just superb. Finally finding some form, and I'm really delighted for him. And it's even better because it would come against Leeds, who still can't defend. I think they've conceded 17 in the league this season, Leeds, which is the most alongside West Bromwich Albion. So they need to sort it out, but delighted for Eberici Eze. Hamster, what should people watch next?
Well, they can go and watch the latest FD Explained on why Firmino should be dropped to put Jota in the side, although I think that 90 probably explains it better than I did in the video. So, feel free to go and tune into ERU in an hour's time. Anything else, Joe?
Not too much, because I want to get back to watching this Aston Villa versus Arsenal game where Villa are still winning at the 62nd minute. Fingers crossed, everybody. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you later.
Bye.